a stream for the Contender Series. Shouldn't be hard, but just bear with me for a quick second while I try to find that. Make sure that my sound is up. Yep, sound is up. Good deal. Let me look for this ESPN link. Every time I go to ESPN, I click stay logged in, and for some reason they log me out every time. I don't think they want me to watch the fights. I have a really hard time believing that they actually want me to watch the fights on ESPN Plus or whatever. Big card coming up. UFC Newark, New Jersey. Always love when they're on the east side. Great Eastern times. I love it. Newark, New Jersey. Starting off the main card, Darko Stosic versus Kenny Nishawunda. Ooh. Ends with a U, so it's got to be ooh at the end. Stosic's 13-2 as a pro, 1-1 in the UFC. Has a knockout over Jeremy Kimball, and then a decision loss to Devin Clark. Very big, very muscular for the for his division. Where the fuck does it say if I'm logged in or not? God damn, this is going slow. Yes, I'm already in. I play that shit. His last loss was to Devin Clark in June. So last month, 2 months before this fight was his last fight. So he's quick turnaround for Darko Stosic. Kennedy's 6-1 in MMA. Well, he's 0-1 in the UFC. He got his first break into the UFC. He was on a Contender Series twice. He was on a Contender Series in 2017. He won a decision, didn't get a contract. And then in 2018, he was also on the Contender Series, and he got a head kick knockout over Dennis Bryant that earned him a contract with the UFC. When he came into the UFC, he lost to Paul Craig via triangle choke. So we see lots of knockout power from Kennedy, but not really too sure exactly what his skill set is on the ground. Stosic's a good all-around dude. A lot of experience from Stosic, and we know that Stosic can handle his own on the ground as well. So as much as I like Kennedy, I'm going to have to go Darko Stosic here. And I know Kennedy was fed to a little bit higher of competition than Stosic was in his first two fights. But I'm going to go Stosic, and probably by TKO. Because I think he's going to strike with him. I think Kennedy's going to sit there and strike with him, and I believe Stosic could get the upper hand there. So I'm going to go Stosic. That one's going to be an up-in-the-air one. I'm not too sure how confident I am about that pick, but Darko Stosic in the first fight. Scott Holtzman will be fighting Dong Hoon Ma. Extraordinary name. But let me find this picture. Dana White's Contender Series. Dana White. Oh, yeah, just to take a break from the predictions, something I just want to talk about really quick is Chris Cyborg getting a lot of, there's a lot of negative speak, I guess, going on about Cyborg from Dana White specifically. And that's not right, man. I mean, your job is the promoter. I know you have a little bit more to do with the company, but your job right now is the promoter. You're supposed to be promoting these oh shit, I got a fuck ton of water bottles back there. Oh well. He's supposed to be promoting his fighters, and all you hear him keep saying is, if I was Cyborg, I wouldn't want to fight Amanda Nunes either. And that's not the approach he should take to it. Although I agree with him. I agree that on many levels, Amanda Nunes is fucking way past Cyborg. With where she is in her career, and everything like that, I think she's miles past Cyborg. But At the same time, if I am the guy that is promoting something, I'm trying to sell tickets. I kind of understand where he's getting at, where he's trying to get under her skin, get her to sign the contract. But I also see that he's not. He's trying to play like a game with it. He's not trying to necessarily. I don't know, how do I say it? He's not trying to sell the fight. He's trying to trick Cyborg into signing a contract, really. Cyborg, what she wants to do is sign a one-fight contract and be out. It's not possible. She doesn't want to work with the UFC because of the people there. And I completely understand that. She wants to sign a one-fight contract, fight Amanda Nunes. She wants to bounce. It can't happen. If you win the belt, you have to defend your belt. So it's kind of a little silly to say that, you want to sign a one-fight contract because you can't. It's not going to happen. Now, you can sign a one-fight contract with a title clause in it, meaning you sign Amanda Nunes. If you lose, you can break out, and if you win, you have to defend your title. But you can't just think that you could sign a one-fight contract and you beat her and you could go be a free agent with the title. It can't happen. Dana White can't afford that for his brand. I understand that. What Dana White's going wrong is instead of giving her a one-fight contract with the title clause in it, where if she wins the title, she has to defend it, he's trying to give her a 6-fight deal. She doesn't want to do that. She doesn't want to sign a 6-fight deal. So every time he says she's scared, she doesn't want to fight Amanda Nunes, he's wrong. He's trying to give her a 6-fight deal. She does not want a 6-fight deal. She does not want to be tied into the UFC for 6 more fights. If she loses to Amanda Nunes, what else is there for her to do there? You know what I mean? Why would she fight in that division? Are they going to give her a 3rd fight? She lost twice already. They're going to give her another fight with Amanda Nunes? It's stupid. Why would she do that? There's no point. By saying that is the only reason that I would say that is the reason that the contracts are being are unable to play this video at this time. What the fuck? The only reason they are having contract disputes right now is because they're not sure what fight agreement to sign to, and it's completely understandable in my opinion. What shouldn't happen is Dana White shouldn't be telling her that she's scared and I wouldn't want to fight Amanda Nunes if I was her either. That shouldn't be coming out of his mouth. Just a lot of derogatory things said about Cyborg that just shouldn't be said. You're a promoter. And that Joe Rogan shit where he said she had a dick and all that shit, and the Vanderlei Silva in a dress, all that shit, that was a long, long, long time ago. Before she was in the UFC, they weren't working with her. It wasn't a colleague. It wasn't a employee-employer type thing. It was a random person that he seen at the fighting awards, and he said she looked like Vanderlei in a dress. And then with Rogan, it was a random person, another organization that they were talking about. So it's not, I can't really necessarily get mad at them on that aspect as far as like that they're bad people for saying shit like that. They're not. They're really not, because they're speaking their mind about somebody that they're not closely working with. Now they're closely working with them. If they were to say something like that now while she's under contract with the UFC, total red flag. Total red flag. There would definitely need to be some public apologies there. But it didn't happen. It happened beforehand. I'm sure they already talked it out, sorted it out, apologize, in private. They're not going to go public with it because they said it. They meant it then. They don't mean it now. So it's kind of one of those situations where why would you apologize publicly for something that you said that you meant a long time ago, or that you thought you meant a long time ago? Then you met her, you have a relationship with her, so you apologize. It's a little weird for some people to think the way they do in that situation, but I don't see wrong in either of them, in Cyborg or Dana White, because I agree with what Dana White said about if I were her, I wouldn't want to fight Amanda Nunes, and I also agree with Cyborg that Dana White should not be promoting his fighters that way. So it's a hard situation, but I'm always on the fence like that, especially when it comes to Dana White, because I could see in a business sense why he does everything he does. And it's fucked up, but it's a business, man. He's got this business from UFC that owed people money, sold all their rights, didn't have rights to anything, didn't have rights to their TV, to their copyright, to anything. They didn't have rights to anything, and he got it all back. He got every single thing back for the UFC. He made money for the UFC, and then sold it for billions. So he's a very successful man. He knows exactly what he's doing. I would not question him in the slightest. I would just say, there's certain things you kind of, especially in this day and age, you kind of have to tiptoe around. You can't really just come out and say, this is this or that is that or whatever the case is. You can't really just, people are sensitive these days, I guess. Oh, my nan's calling me right now. What's up, man? What's up? I'm shooting a video right now. You want me to call you back in a little while? You gonna be awake? You want to say what's up to everybody?
What, honey?
You want to say what's up to everybody? You're on speakerphone.
Right now I'm on my phone. Not a speakerphone, just a cell phone.
No, you're on speakerphone on my phone, and we're live on YouTube. You want to say hey?
Do I want to say something?
Yeah, say hey. Say what's up.
Yeah.
My dudes.
Hey, what's up? Oh, shit.
All right, man. I'll call you. It's probably going to be like 2 hours, 2.5 hours or so, probably like 10:30. All right, I love you. All right, bye. Surprise guest from my nan. Most people would call their grandmother, but it's my father. I had a grandmother and then I had a nan growing up. And not like a nanny like she don't work for us, like a nan like you can't have two grandmas because how you even call grandma 1 and grandma 2 or grandma South Carolina and grandma New York? Can't do that. So fucking nan and grandma is how I had it. But that was my nan. Welcome to the barbecue pit, nan. I'll go back. Drop the whole Dana White shit. I'm going to go back to predictions. Scott Holtzman, Dong Young Ma. Holtzman's 12-3. All 3 of his losses are decisions. Never been finished. His most recent fight was to Nick Lentz, a decision loss, of course, in February. He's 5-3 in the UFC, so all 3 of those decision losses come inside the UFC. Do we got fights going on? Are they walking out yet? No, they're still talking about their MMA career and whatnot. Oh, there we go. We got the sound up. I could hear a little bit, so I know when the fights come on. I don't want to get copyrighted, though. He's got wins over Alan Patrick, Darren Horcher. 3 losses in the UFC are to Drew Dober, Josh Emmett, Nick Lentz. All high-level competition. Nick Lentz will speak about is facing BJ Penn. Apparently, he's got some problems with BJ Penn. BJ Penn always comments on his Instagram shit. When Nick Lentz doesn't reply to him on his Instagram, BJ Penn goes to Nick Lentz's wife's Instagram and starts commenting on her shit. So apparently, we all knew BJ Penn's piece of shit, but apparently that's coming more to light. BJ Penn is talking shit to him on social media. Finally gets the fight with BJ Penn. That's going to happen. I think BJ Penn should have retired about 7 fights ago, but here he is about to fight Nick Lentz. Scott Holtzman just came off that loss to Nick Lentz. Dong Young Ma's 16-9. 3-3 in the UFC, a little bit more even. He had 1 year off, came back in this February, had a knockout TKO loss to Devontae Smith. I believe Devontae Smith is looking for an opponent as John McDessie just backed out. I think that's Devontae Smith. I can't remember what the guy's name is that John McDessie was just supposed to fight coming up, but that guy dropped out. They're looking for a new opponent. UFC, I don't know if you listen to it. You probably don't listen to this show, but if you do, I'm going to put my word in anyway. Jojo Gannetti, Damian Brown. I got names for days. You want to hit me in my DM, the barbecue pit _live on Twitter, hit me in my DMs. I got mad fighters that would take that fight in a heartbeat against Devontae Smith. They want back in the UFC, and they deserve back in the UFC. It's bullshit. Some of those, Damian Brown and Jojo Gannetti, the first 2 people that pop up in my head, do not deserve to not be fighting in the UFC. I understand Damian Brown's doing his thing in Risen or whatever, but dude, motherfuckers would leave Risen like that to come back to the UFC. So just think about it, Dana. Think about it. Before that, speaking of Damian Brown, before the fight in February with Devontae Smith, he has wins over Damian Brown, Takanori Gomi, Brandon Riley, and then he also had losses to Polo Reyes and Dominic Steele. 12 out of 16 of his wins are all finishes. So Dong Young Ma has more than a 70% finish rate. Scott Holtzman, never been finished. What do I think is going to happen? Scott Holtzman by decision. It's hard to say somebody's going to get finished when they've never been finished before. You know, we had the whole Max Holloway and McGregor thing. Max Holloway's never been knocked out. I predicted him to get knocked out by Frankie Edgar. I take chances sometimes. I take chances. I went 7-5, better than 500. I want to do better. I don't want to have any losses. I want to get every single one of my predictions right, and I want somebody to hire me as their fucking MMA bet guy. You know what I'm saying? Because I looked my shit up, I do my research, and I figure shit out, and I think I got a good idea on who should win the fights. So I'm going Scott Holtzman decision. Darko Stosic, Scott Holtzman. Next fight we have is Trevin Giles and Gerald Meerschaert. Trevin Giles is 11-1, 2-1 in the UFC. Has a split decision win over Ryan Spann in LFA. That was the fight right before he came to the UFC. Oh, we got fights. We've got fights. And then we're looking at what fight is Contender Series. We got Michel Martinic and Rodrigo Namacinto. Heavyweight fight. Michel is 7-0 out of Czech Republic. Rodrigo 6-0 out of Brazil. Czech Republic fighting Brazil here. Battle of the Nations. This guy's got super weird titties right now. Super weird titties. But yeah, Giles won over Ryan Spann, who's doing very good in the UFC. Most recent fight was a guillotine choke loss in May to Zach Cummings. So again, a little bit of problem on the ground for the strikers. Not much to worry about. Gerald Meerschaert, although he's very good on the ground, loves to strike. 28-11, way more experience. He has as much losses as Giles has wins, which, I mean, sounds kind of stupid saying it, but when you think about the fact that Giles only has one more fight and Gerald Meerschaert has 28 more fights on top of that 11, it's kind of, he has 27 more fights on his pro career than Trevin Giles. So way more experience, 4-3 in the UFC. His wins include Ryan James, Eric Spicely, Oscar Pichota, and then he has losses to Jack Hermanson, Kevin Holland, Thiago Santos. And then before he got into the UFC, he went 1-1 with Sam Alvey. He had a decision win over George Lockhart. He was all over, man. He fought people before he got into the UFC that are big names. And then he got into the UFC and he beat a good amount of people in the UFC. 4-3, not a bad record in the UFC. 20 out of 28 of his wins are via submission. 8 out of 11 of his losses are by submission. That's why I said good submission artist, but he's not afraid to stand up because he lives and dies by the submission. You know, he's got 20 wins by decision, 8 losses by decision. 70%, a little bit over 70% of his losses by submission. And then, what's that? A little under 70% of his wins are by submission. So it's just hard to tell whether he's fighting world-class submission grappling artists or is he just, is he back and forth? Does he show up one day, he doesn't show up another day? Who knows? I think that experience is going to be way too much for Trevin Giles. And I love Trevin Giles. I would always pick Trevin Giles. I don't know him personally. The only reason I'm not going to be biased towards you, bro, is because you denied me on Facebook. I tried to add you as a friend on Facebook, and you denied me. So I have to be realistic now. And my realistic pick is going to be that Gerald Meerschaert is going to be able to get you to the ground, outwork you, and then probably going to lock in a choke. Guillotine choke, rear naked choke, Darce choke. I'm looking for one of those chokes probably for Gerald Meerschaert. Joaquim Silva versus Naras Hapkarat. That's a good fight also, as we see Michel has Rodrigo pinned up against the cage here, working some knees in the clinch. Silva's 11-1. He's never been finished. His last fight was a knockout win over Jared Gordon. That was a long time ago, back in December. He's 4-1 in the UFC. His only one loss was to Vince Pichel by decision. His wins over Reza Madadi, Andrew Holbrook. 9 out of his 11 of his wins are by finish. So he knows how to get the job done. He's, of course, with the knockout of Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon's a tough motherfucker, and he was able to knock him out. So he's got a very good striking, very good submission grappling game. Can't even say his name. Hapkarast, is that how you say his name? 10-2, 2-1 in the UFC. He lost his debut to Marcin Held, and then won 2 decisions over Gotti and Who the fuck was the other guy? Goatee was in October. I forgot who else the other dude was that he beat. 8 and 10. 8 out of 10 of his wins are by knockout. And then every fight that he's had in the UFC has been decision. So, I mean, I'm trying to think about a way to word this, but he hadn't had a decision until he got into the UFC as far as wins. He had all knockouts, submissions, something like that, going into all knockouts. Sorry. All knockouts going into the UFC. Comes to the UFC, loses a decision, wins 2 decisions. So it's hard to see whether his skill level is not necessarily transferring from wherever local promotion he came from to the UFC. But being as much of a finisher as Silva is, and how kind of back and forth we are with Hepcrast, I believe that Silva is going to be able to get it done there. Knockout, something like that. And I like Hepcrast. This is the thing about the picks tonight, is that I've picked against a couple of people that I really, really like. And that if I was doing this whole card biasly, I would have picked Kennedy. I would have picked Trevin Giles. I would have picked Hepcrast, but I'm not. So I'm picking Silva, probably by a knockout. Which brings us to the co-main event, Jim Miller, Clay Guida. Clay Guida, I don't think this is going to be one of those biased things, because I don't think I could ever – oh, shit, head and arm choke. Got him. Rodrigo Namasito with 1:41 left in the first gets a head and arm choke. Submission win. We got a submission fighter at heavyweight. He's probably getting a contract. Unless fucking these next 4 fights or however many left are all just spectacular fucking knockouts. I'd say he's definitely got a reason to believe he might get the contract here. But that's his mouthpiece. He got a little bit of blood in his mouthpiece. Jim Miller, been in the UFC since October 2008, 35 years old, 30-13. Most recent fight was a rear naked choke over Jason Gonzalez. In April, he's 2-5 dating back to 2017, so not a great run in the past 2 years. He's got losses to Dustin Poirier, Anthony Pettis, Dustin Poirier, Anthony Pettis, Francisco Trinaldo, Dan Hooker, and Charles Oliveira. His only wins in the last 2 or 3 years have been Alex White, Thiago Alves, Joe Lozon, and Takanori Gomi. He's got, and I just thought this was interesting, so I wrote down the fact that his 6th pro fight was against Frankie Edgar, and he lost. But this guy that's had 43 pro fights, his 6th pro fight was against Frankie Edgar. That's pretty sick. 16 out of 30 of his wins are via submissions. Almost half, or a little over half his wins are via submission. Clay Guida, so he does have powerful hands too. He's got big power hands, and he's great on the ground. Clay Guida is 37 years old, 2 years older. He's been in the UFC since 2006, 2 years before Jim Miller. So maybe at the time when they were younger, or back in the day or whatever, 2006, 2008, maybe it was just a certain age that Dana White was using, that when they turned this age, that's when I start looking for prospects. But either way, they came in at the same age, obviously. 3-1 since 2017, so he's had a little bit better of 2 years than Jim Miller has. He's got wins over BJ Penn, Joe Lozon, Eric Coach, who we just seen get a win at UFC 240 this past Saturday. And he's got losses to Charles Oliveira and Brian Ortega in the past 2 years. 13 out of 35 of his wins are by submission, and also 9 out of 18 of his losses are by submission. So half his losses are by submission, and a little under half of his wins are by submission. So it's one of those things where Gerald Meerschaert, you're half and half. Clay Guida's got amazing cardio. I believe that even though he's getting older, he's still got a lot left in his gas tank. The issue will be, is he going to come out crazy Clay Guida that we seen Diego Sanchez fight a long time ago, or is he going to come out the Clay Guida that kind of tries to run away, and eventually gets taken down and submitted by Jim Miller? I would not want to see that. It's just one of the fights on the card that I'm actually going to go biased with, and I'm never picking against Clay Guida in my life. The reason I am an MMA fan today is because of Clay Guida and Diego Sanchez. I watched that fight live 2004, 2006, or whatever it was. 2006, 2008, somewhere in there. I watched that fight live. I'm actually about to look up what year that was. I can tell you the exact date where I became a diehard. Because I watched it before this date. I watched Chuck Liddell a lot back in the day. Nate Diaz, shit like that. But I only watched the big fight. I only watched those guys. I only watched the Nate Diaz, the Chuck Liddell, the Rampage, the Rashad Evans. You know what I'm saying? I only watched the big guys. June 20th, 2009, I would say I became a diehard MMA fan where I watch pretty much every week. And I wouldn't say that's necessarily where – actually, just lied to you guys. Because I wouldn't say that's when I started watching every week. It came much, much later, where it was every week, every LFA, PFL, Bellator, all that. Much, much later, much, much more recent. But I will say that I became way more into the UFC, at least, into watching the UFC as a promotion. It was 2009. Always pick Clay Guida. Clay Guida and Diego Sanchez, I'll never pick against them. Diego Sanchez, how I seen how Michael Chiesa did to him, I might be a little bit more hesitant to pick Diego Sanchez nowadays, just because I've seen his skill level up against a guy like Michael Chiesa. But Michael Chiesa looked great in that fight, so it just depends on who Diego Sanchez fights again. Clay Guida has not given me a performance like that yet. I have not seen any performance out of Clay Guida where it makes me think, oh, he might have, Clay Guida might be running out now. You know what I mean? He might be over with. Never. I went and watched him live knock out Joe Lozon with that sick three-piece standing up and then some elbows. He's a beast, man. That was in Virginia, 2017. Dude's a monster. And I'll never, like I said, I'll never pick against Clay Guida or Diego Sanchez if I like the matchup. Of course, if they put Clay Guida against Frank Yeager, I'm not gonna be stupid, but. But I'll always pick him, given the circumstances. That brings us to our main event of UFC Newark. Robbie Lawler, Colby Covington, former welterweight champ versus former interim champ. It's the first fight for Colby Covington since he won the interim title against RDA and was stripped of the interim title. He's 9-1 in the UFC. His only loss was to Warley Alves in 2015. His road to the interim title was a little easy, though. Or easier. Max Griffin, striker. Brian Barberina, striker. Dungam Kim, striker. Damian Maia, strictly submission artist, never did good with wrestlers. And then he fought RDA for the title, which I guess was a pretty good test for him. He's a good wrestler. So he was able to pretty much just outpoint RDA that entire fight. Tough. Robbie Lawler definitely going to be his toughest opponent to date. Robbie Lawler's 28-13 pro MMA. He's got 20 out of 28 of his wins are by knockout. He has wins over Rory McDonald twice, Melvin Manhoff back in the day, Jake Ellenberger, Matt Brown, Johnny Hendricks, Carlos Condit, Donald Cerrone. His three most recent losses that we can remember are Tyron Woodley, where he lost the belt, RDA, which he just lost 2 fights ago, and then the controversial loss to Ben Askren, of course, which who can really consider that a loss? He never tapped out. I'm not going to say he never lost consciousness, because he could have. There's a possibility he lost consciousness for a split second when his hand dropped, but by the time his hand fully dropped, back conscious. Hand came straight back up. He wasn't trying to fight or anything. He was really just trying to relax. It's more of a head squeeze. The choke that he was in is more of just a head squeeze than it is a cutting your air off type of choke. So I completely see why Robbie was frustrated after that fight. They wanted to give him Tyron Woodley in Minnesota. When was Minnesota? A couple months ago. That fight fell through. He did not take an opponent on that card because he wanted to wait for Woodley. Woodley was going to be out a little bit more than he wanted to sit out. So he ended up taking this fight with Colby Covington mainly because Colby Covington was the interim champ. He was a former champ. He kind of feels like, in a way, this is going to be somewhat of a title eliminator. Next guy to fight for the title is going to be one of these guys, because at the top of the division, you can obviously see a Jorge Masvidal, Kamaru Usman fight in the near future, with how impressive Masvidal has been in the past couple of fights. We could for sure see him fighting Usman soon in the near future. This fight could be the winner of that fight, fighting for the belt next, easily. Robbie Lawler gets a second chance at the belt. Colby Covington gets his first chance, redeems himself from getting stripped of the interim belt. A lot of implications for both fighters. I think that Robbie's going to be extremely, extremely sharp because of his last fight. He doesn't want to fuck around on the ground anymore. He doesn't want to fuck around with no head squeeze chokes where fucking Herb Dean's got a chance to stop the fight or no shit like that. He's going to be wanting to stay up. He's probably drilling takedown defense every single day for the past 3 months. Hours on hours on hours of takedown defense. I got Robbie Lawler. I think we're going to see a different Colby Covington. I think Colby Covington is going to come in this fight a little bit more fired up just because Colby Covington has got some kind of vendetta against Robbie Lawler. He says he left American Top Team, turned his back on American Top Team. And the reason is actually kind of funny. Apparently, when Robbie lost the belt to Tyron Woodley, American Top Team posted a picture of Tyron Woodley with the belt after he won that. But first fighter from the Bahamas to compete on Dana White's Contender Series is Rico Farrington. 6-fight win streak, 3-time kickbox champion. I got Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler knockout, I would hope, second, third round would be my prediction of round. But that's going to definitely be Robbie Lawler. Other fights on the card, Mickey Gall, Salim Tahui, Antonia Shevchenko versus Lucy Pudilova, Lauren Murphy, Mara Romero Barilla, Claudio Silva versus Cole Williams, who's stepping in for Claudio Silva was supposed to fight. I forget. It's short notice, maybe a week or two short notice for Cole Williams. And then both fighters making their UFC debut, Miranda Granger versus Hannah Goldie, who we just seen not get a contract on the UFC's Contender Series. For some reason, he signs Miranda Granger, has her come in, and then signs fucking Goldie, who he just said he didn't want to sign, who he just literally said almost a month ago that he wants to get more experience before she comes into the UFC. Boom, a month later, fuck it. Bring him on. Let's hit her and somebody else UFC debut. Fuck it. Roll it. And UFC Newark, it's fucking insane. It's probably going to be the first fight of the card. So, I mean, very, very good, what's the word? Exposure for her as far as, although, the prelims aren't watched as much as the main card, of course, the first fight of the night gets a lot of attention. It's because it's like, oh, the UFC's on, first fight. I'm saying more people watch, and then they're like, "Oh, it's a prelims. We don't really know these people. It's bounced." But the first fight, diehards at least, they tune in. It's the first fight. Oh, UFC starting. Turn it on. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Maybe I'm completely ass backwards with my whole theory there, but I think they get a little bit more exposure being the opening fight on the prelims rather than like the second or third fight on the prelims. I know they don't get more exposure than the main event of the prelims or anything on the main card. But like the second, third fight on the prelims, I think they get more exposure. So I think it's a good fight for Hannah Goldie. I think it's a good fight for Miranda Granger. Let's see what happens. We got these guys, Rico Farrington and Daniel Rodriguez fighting. Rodriguez is 8-1 out of Cali. He's fought in Bellator, King of the Cage. Of course, we just talked about Farrington, who is out of Tampa, Florida, fought at Titan FC, kickboxing champion. 6-fight win streak. Farrington's coming out with a very long stance, very long, skinny fighter, whereas Rodriguez is more of a stockier, definitely has less reach, shorter arms, pretty much shorter everything here. Um, let's see, leg kicks from Rodriguez. Trying to get those skinny legs of Farrington. Ooh, big overhand. Ooh, two big overhand lefts from Rodriguez. Both of them land. Leg kick inside. Oh, big left hand lands from Farrington. Is there much power, though, behind that? He looks a little swollen, but not. He definitely doesn't look as big as Rodriguez. So, I mean, how much is Rodriguez feeling when he lands those left hands clean like that? I'm not sure. I'll post this here. Both conservative. 1-2 combinations. Nobody's really throwing any exemplary combinations off the bat. Maybe they're just trying to feel each other out, get each other's range down. More outside leg kicks are he's throwing them in there, hard body. Where the eyes going? Feeling each other out, high low, faking the takedown there. If I had to compare this fight to two people in the UFC, it would probably be Nate Diaz versus Tyron Woodley, as they both seem to kind of want to keep it standing, but one of them's longer, has more of a punches and bunches kind of style, where Rodriguez is Woodley kind of. I mean, I wouldn't give him the IQ of Woodley necessarily, but he's just really looking for that power punch. Power punch. He's got decent IQ because he keeps working those leg kicks. You can tell Farrington's really heavy on that right lead leg, and Rodriguez can see that. He keeps whipping those outside leg kicks at him, man. And you could see the outside of Farrington's thigh getting decently red there. Straight right hand. Ooh, inside leg kick there. Could have been a little low. 10-0. Rodriguez is up with leg kicks. Farrington hasn't thrown a one. And they kind of, even though Rodriguez is kind of upper body, he's a lot bigger than Farrington. They almost look like they got like the same size legs. Like maybe Rodriguez is like a skip leg day type of guy, you know? Oh, that Farrington tries to throw his first outside leg kick, gets it checked. Both fighters land a right hand from Rodriguez, a left hand from Farrington there. Rodriguez still landing those outside leg kicks, and it looks like Farrington not even attempting to check him anymore. He's just kind of planting his leg, eating the kick so he could counter with a left hand. Rodriguez has Farrington pushed up against the cage here. Over under looks like he has. Like I said, though, upper body strength looks like it definitely goes to Rodriguez, and he gets a trip, takes him down. So killing him in leg kicks, gets a takedown the end of the round, definitely wins the first round without a doubt. Can one of these guys finish is the biggest question I could see, the biggest question mark for the fight. I don't know what the hell that means. But I definitely think we're Daniel Rodriguez is up 1-0. I seen somebody post a picture of these two guys and say they just want to stand and bang. I don't agree with that one bit. Not one bit, because they don't. The fucking MMA memes are so fucked up. They got a picture of Amanda Nunes. Cyborg talking to Joe Rogan, and they put Vanderlei's face on her and it says, "I want to fight. I want to fuck Amanda Nunes. Fight, fuck Amanda Nunes," like how he did Chuck, which is not funny, really, because the only reason that Vanderlei got so fucked up with saying "I want to fight Chuck" is because Chuck rhymes with fuck. So he said, "I want to fight Chuck." He's also pretty bad at English, which Cyborg is, but Amanda Nunes does not rhyme with fuck, so that's a little weird that. I mean, it's funny. It's decently funny because fucking Dana's calling her Vanderlei Silva in a dress and shit way back in the day, but still, I mean, very old, that comment, and does not rhyme with fuck, so. I think it's a poor meme, man, or a poor mimi, as I would say. 1 minute into the second round, Rodriguez still killing those outside leg kicks, opening up some of those jabs up top. Jabs to the body from Rodriguez, inside leg kick now. Overhand left lands from Rodriguez. Looks like every time Farrington lands, Rodriguez just kind of ducks his head and lets the punches land on his forehead. It's not really affecting him. The power isn't really necessarily there. The punches are definitely landing. He's just landed a 1-2 right there. But Rodriguez just pushed through it and backed him up against the cage. Had him in the clinch. Farrington just got out of the clinch, but he had him there for a little bit. And he just ran straight through through that 1-2. He's putting his head down, letting him land straight on his forehead. He's walking right through him. See, this is not the type of performance I would say that would take a contract away from that heavyweight that got the submission in the first round. I think we see a couple of these, and that guy's got a contract by the skin of his fucking teeth. Got lucky on said night. Who doesn't love Tuesday nights when you got a contender series? And like the people there, especially, I don't know if they started charging for it since they had such a big turnout, but on the first contender series, they said it was free, man. They said walk up and they'll let you in. I mean, imagine what the experience these people get that live in Las Vegas. Say you live close to this Apex, UFC Apex arena. You know, you just walk in like you're walking into like a Pop Warner football game or some shit. You just walk up. They got the doors open. Here, check out some fights on a Tuesday night. Cool thing too is they don't really last that long. On the second fight, there's 1, 2. Is there only 3 more? 1, 2, 3. There's only 3 more fights. So I mean, it's almost 9 o'clock. 3 fights after this one, I'd say that ends about 10:30 or so. At least 10:30. We got 2 in 1 hour, so 2 in another hour. 30 minutes for another one. Yeah, 10:30 at least. Compared to a pay-per-view card that starts at 10 p.m. And then that's 5 fights. Yeah. 12:30, 1 o'clock finish time. I know people got work and shit. And sorry about this. I completely forgot that in Vegas, they're 3 hours behind us. So right now it's 8:40. There it's fucking 6 o'clock almost. It's 5:40. So, I mean, their fights are going to be done by like 7:30. Then they got the whole night ahead of them. They can go home and get fucking. They can go home and go straight to sleep. Be in bed by 9 o'clock, ready for work in the morning, refreshed as shit. They start talking about other shit because this fight's just boring, man. This fight's real boring. They keep throwing the same combinations. My man Farrington's getting outlanded. He needs to switch something up. He's throwing the same punches. He switched it up right there through that straight elbow. But other than that, he's throwing the jab and the left to follow. The jab and the left to follow. The jab and the left to follow. No leg kicks. No crazy knees. No spinning shit. No head kicks. Oh, throws a knee on the takedown attempt from Rodriguez. Lands it, but Rodriguez just pushes straight through it and gets a takedown to end the second round. Which obviously puts him up 2-0. 2-0 for Rodriguez. Don't be surprised if this goes down to the last minute in the third round. He's going to go for another takedown, which could give Farrington another chance to throw that flying knee and another chance to try to land it, which we've seen work for Jorge Masvidal. We've seen work for who to work for just recently. Just recently. Fuck. Who was that? It was maybe 2 fights ago. It worked for Malvid Kabulov against Andre Harrison. He almost knocked Harrison out. Let me see. List of UFC events. Going for past events here. I think it was on the San Antonio card. Dan Hooker, no. Flying knee. Oh, maybe it was the 240. I don't know, man. Or maybe it wasn't the UFC, or maybe I was watching something else. Maybe I was watching like PFL or some shit. But head kick, that's not it. That's not it. Oh, man. Fuck it. I know that there was a fight just recently that I was rooting for the guy that landed the head kick or the knee, the flying knee, and he kept getting taken down, and it was kind of sad, man. He couldn't handle. He couldn't handle, staying up. He couldn't stay on his feet, and then dude goes for the. Oh, do you know what I think that was? I think that was a Contender Series. I think I was watching the Contender Series either last week or the week before that, and dude just kept taking him down. And it was like the last round. He had 1 shot left. Of course, dude goes for a takedown once again, and he threw the flying knee at his ass and fucking landed, knocked him clean out. Let's see, week 5 are we in? No, that was last week. Week 5. Sean Woodson versus Terrence McKinney. Nope, that wasn't it. Might have been it. Was Terrence McKinney taking Woodson down like that? Oh, that was his game. I'm gonna chalk that up. I think that was Sean Woodson, Terrence McKinney, and Sean Woodson hit him with that flying knee. Terrence McKinney. The only reason I think it might have been that fight is because Terrence McKinney, I know from fighting Bobby McIntyre, is a wrestler. He does take you down, try to wear you out. So I think that very well could be the fight that I was thinking about. It was last week, the Contender Series, where Sean Woodson got the flying knee. Now they're banging. Now they're standing there and banging. 29-3 leg kicks for Rodriguez. 26 more leg kicks than Farrington. And Farrington is the kickboxing champion. It's weird. It's really, really weird to see a guy that is however many time kickboxing champion as he is and not throw that many kicks at all. Another takedown from Rodriguez. Farrington trying to get his back up against the cage. He does, it looks like. Let's see if he can get up. He's got to get his foot off his knee. Get your leg off of his knee. Rodriguez posting his knee up with Farrington's right leg stuck, so that he can't post off that. There you go. Gets it out. As soon as he gets the leg out, Rodriguez jumps for a guillotine choke, lets it go, and they're standing back up again. Farrington, do not let him take you down again. That's the fight. If he takes you down again, he ain't letting you back up, man. He didn't have to let you up right there. I think he wanted to get back up and strike a little bit, but he just wanted to vilify himself. He didn't want the judges to even think for a second for Farrington. They want him to think any kind of takedown defense, any kind of him getting the better of the striking in the third round, and he did okay in the second round, this, that. He don't want to have no questions if this goes to decision. That 3 takedowns, 1 in each round, out leg kicking him by 26, and then being even in the stand-up, striking-wise, boxing-wise, and rocking him sometimes with the jabs, man. He's throwing some stiff jabs in there, Rodriguez, that are landing on fair. Ooh, another one there. Takedown, got taken down again. Has the single, immediately goes for the head. Loses it, trying to throw knees at the body. Farrington is back. Oh, he's at his base. He loses it, trying to sit. 19 seconds left, man. He lost. Oh, and Rodriguez gets in a full mount. He's trying to work. Farrington did a decent job trying to get out just now. Rodriguez trying to finish it in the last couple of seconds. 10 seconds left. Oh, the round is over. He definitely won, but I don't know why you're so hyped up, bro. You're probably not getting a fucking contract. Let's think about it, man. Let's just think about it for half a second. You're 8-1. You got 9 pro fights. Okay? You just won by decision, a very dominant decision against a guy that was 7-2, a beginner guy. A guy that Dana White is not going to look at as a guy that he would want there. He tried to counter-strike. He couldn't counter-strike with this guy. He did not do anything to check leg kicks. He kept taking a step back to check his leg kicks. No, that doesn't work, man. You have to lift your leg up so that he lands on the fucking bone. So he doesn't land on the meat, where he's landing on that meat that's just stinging you, making your step lighter and lighter. You need to make him land on that bone. You know what I mean? But no, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't defend the takedown. Every takedown that Rodriguez shot, he landed. So, I mean, I've seen Dana do crazier things. Head strikes, 34-34. Leg strikes, 32-3. And then Rodriguez had 4 takedowns. So that's exactly how I just said it was. The stand-up, punching-wise, pretty much even. Leg kicks obliterated him. And 4-0 in takedowns, yeah, he fucking smoked him. Smoked him, dude. There's not even a fucking shot that any one of these judges says that he gets the win, that Farrington gets the win. Not even close. In what world? I don't think it was enough. I question it because it depends on really what happens with the rest of the card, but I can't sit here and tell you that I think that that's going to be enough for a call up to the big leagues from Dana. I'm gonna stand by for the hell of it. Just before, a little bit before we went live, Bellator announced that one of their cards coming up, I believe, was 225. Co-main event's going to be Vitaly Minakov, former Bellator heavyweight champion, against Jay Avila, however you say your last name, bud. Jay is an extremely good heavyweight in Bellator. Menikov, obviously a former champion, ready to go claim that belt back. I like Menikov. I like the way he fights. Hope we see big fireworks in that co-main event there.
I fought Southpaw a few times before this, but this guy's a little bit longer. I really couldn't figure it out, so I just resorted to what I can do. Not just win, you know what I mean? So I got to win. That's all that matters to me.
You came out throwing heat. You were throwing a lot of leg kicks. Were those leg kicks part of the game plan coming in to slow down his movement a little bit?
Yeah, that was a game plan. I was trying to kind of take out his front leg, try to take a little bit of pop out of his lead leg. But like I said, man, he's like had a long range that could be really hard to get in there.
Those jabs, every way that Farrington was longer, Rodriguez just said nope and just landed every single strike they should not have landed. Being the smaller, less reach guy, he landed every one. The jabs, the jabs that make Farrington's head snap back, that shouldn't be landing way longer. He should be able to get out of the way in time because it's a lot less distance. He has to travel backwards since he's way longer to escape that jab. He got caught with a lot of those jabs that snapped his head back. A lot of those leg kicks could have been checked. He had a lot of jabs to the body, which is the same thing as just a regular jab on saying that Farrington should have been in and out. He didn't fight like the longer fighter. He tried to fight like he wanted to put on a lot of volume, and Rodriguez was putting way too many leg kicks, slowing him down way too fast. He needed to change his game plan after the first round and never did. Played the same game plan the entire fight, got beat up the entire fight. I guess that's just how it goes sometimes. I'm impressed. I don't think it's enough to get Buddy a contract there, but I'm definitely impressed by his ability just to get the fight to the ground immediately. He's at welterweight, so Usman, Covington, there's a lot of good wrestlers at welterweight, and this guy obviously can get a takedown with ease. So obviously means he's pretty good at takedown defense. You're not going to get good at takedowns if you're not good at takedown defense. So. Very unique style that they have for the backstage area of the Contender Series. I guess the Apex Arena. Ricky Steele, Philip Caro Kappa, Mallory Martin, Steve Garcia, Philip Rao. Oh shit, Philip Rao. Let's see if I wanted to get a picture of that. Tracy Cortez coming up next against Myra Akapova. 5-1 versus 6-0. Cortez formerly fighting in Scottsdale, Arizona, so she fought in Invicta, whereas Akapova fought in Fight Night Global. A little bit, less known of an opponent. I mean, a little bit less known of a promotion. I got a tweet about the Philip Rao thing. That's good. That's the best news I've got of any news that they have released during the Contender Series. I think that was my favorite by far news that I've ever seen on Contender Series this year, at least. Week 9, apparently. And you always see Philip in the corners of Mike Perry and the guys that he trains with. He's always in their corner. I think he was in the corner of Alex Nicholson for PFL. But very smart guy, very high fight IQ. Fighting should be the main event of Week 9's Contender Series. I think we're on Week 6 right now, so we got a couple weeks till we're going to see that fight, but we are going to see that fight. We got this fight, the Tracy Cortez fight, then we got Steven Nugent versus Alan Cruz. Then we got Elskila Kumar versus Fabio Charant. Fabio Charant fighting in CES MMA out there in Massachusetts. I guess been on Pure Evil a couple of different times. Agapova was telling a story about her father wanted her to be a dancer and a pretty girl, and she signed her up for he signed her up for a kickboxing class, seeing how good she was, and turned to her and said, "Yes, this is for you." I don't know, but I get very kind of emotional when it comes to like family stuff, success. This Contender Series is full of emotion, and like they got their families there, whether it be like one friend, their parents, whatever. There's a couple of different people that are there for these people, for the fighters, waiting outside the cage, and of course, the UFC pans the camera to them to see their reaction, and they're always in tears and. I'm a big baby, I guess. Cortez is a beast, man. I've heard great things from Cortez. Tough fight for Myra Agapova. Myra Agapova. I want to turn it up just so I can hear how to pronounce the names. Tracy Cortez is pretty fucking easy to pronounce, but this is it. I'll be on my lawyer being stand by for the fun of it. Training with the UFC mitts. I would assume they let them go to the UFC Performance Institute leading up to it. They want them to get the best kind of training leading up. They want to see the best fighters they can get. So, I mean, why wouldn't they let them train there? The best facility that they can possibly find, best gym that they could possibly find. But also, we've also seen in the Contender Series that, for the most part, it has been way more competitive than this year, than this year that we're seeing right now. So, hard to say whether it was just because they're coming in and they're fighting from their home gym, and then all of a sudden now they finally get their chance and they're fighting against these people and this and that, or whatever the case is. And now, because they're all kind of training in the same place and this and that, I don't know. I'm not sure how to really look at that, but Agapova looks fucking ready for business. Can't even fucking chill. So I guess right here. Oh, we can go do this again right here. That was a long time ago, I believe. Lawyer be on standby for the fun of it. Nailed that thumbnail, y'all. I made that myself this time. My cousin's on a little vacation with his woman. I think they're in what do you say to that? Maine. They went to Maine. Text me what's in Maine. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. I think his girlfriend's family lives in Maine, so. As far as I know, I believe that's the reason they took a vacation to Maine. I'm excited to see All-In Cruz fight. He fought a lot of his fights in NFC, which is the promotion right here out of Atlanta. So pretty close to me. I like to see how kind of local talent from around here does against. He's fighting a guy that's 6-0 out of Kansas. I mean, it's Kansas. 5 out of 6 his wins or finishes. Yada, yada, yada. Myra Agapova's got a 3-inch reach advantage. Other than that, they're pretty much identical. 1-inch height advantage. 3 years younger than Tracy Cortez. Other than that, pretty much exactly the same. Here we go. Both fighters coming out quick. Southpaw from Agapova. Tracy Cortez coming out with the traditional stance. Ooh, head kick from Agapova. Prayers up for Guilford, California. Apparently that's Luis Pena and those guys out there. I guess they had a shooting at one of their schools or something like that. A kid got injured. Big right hand from Agapova. So prayers out to Gifford, California, for sure. Overhand left from Cortez misses. Agapova's really loose, looks extremely fast, and is landing good strikes. I say this every time I watch a woman fight or a woman MMA fight, that women don't normally finish, but I feel like Agapova is a woman that stings with that big left hand, can definitely finish this fight. Has shown with her striking abilities early that she's going to land some punches, she's going to land some kicks, and they're going to be big. Ooh. Straight kick to the body, caught a little bit by Tracy Cortez. Cortez counters with a right hand. Knees to the body from Agapova. Tracy Cortez has her up against the cage, knees landing on the legs there. Ooh. Big right hand lands from Tracy Cortez before she shoots in for the takedown. Great takedown defense from Agapova. Cortez, great takedown, though, with the trip. Pulls her away from the cage. Slips a foot behind her. Gets the trip. Takes her back. Has one hook in on the left side. Can't get the right hook in because Agapova is up against the cage on the right side. She's laying in some ground and pound off her back, putting pressure on her back, making Agapova carry her weight, trying to slow her down because Agapova did start extremely fast with a lot of great movement off the start. And if she's able to keep that up all 3 rounds, I think that Tracy Cortez is going to have a lot of trouble standing up in the striking department. So looks like Tracy Cortez is looking to wear her down, get some of that cardio to go away. She gets both hooked in now, still has her back. They're laying on top of Tracy Cortez. She needs to put in a body triangle, one side or the other. Oh, tries to get in the mount, loses it. What do we got? Some kind of inverted fucking. Nope. Just takes her back again, both hooks in. Especially if you're trying to hold this position with her back. I would try to sink a body triangle in here if you want to try to get a rear naked choke or something. Punches like crazy. This is what Dana White wants to see. When he wants to see, he doesn't always want to see finishes, but he wants to see you going balls out the entire time you're in that cage because this is your shot, man. If this is your shot, you got to fucking go for it. You can't be, Tracy Cortez tries to transition in a full mount. Agapova reverses her, gets into guard. Ooh, big up kicks from Cortez. Cortez gets in on another double, gets stuffed. Now she has Agapova pushed up against the cage. It's a great scrambling match. If they wrestled and did jiu-jitsu this whole time, I think it's going to be very, very, very exciting. I think Agapova's got way too much of a striking advantage as far as speed and quickness and footwork, I guess. Ability to get in and out. It's footwork. Great clinch game from Tracy Cortez. Easily gets a reversal. Muay Thai clinch, throwing some knees. Gets in on another double. She's deep on that double. Yep, got it. Pulls her down. Has that, doing that same thing that Rodriguez was doing to Farrington. Has that left leg arched up with a, big elbow she's raining down there. Punching until the bell ends. That's what Dana wants to see. When Dana says, down to one device to watch the fights or you'd be on, what's that mean? You got one thing to watch the fights on? Are you watching the Cortez Agapova fight? It's fucking great, amazing grappling fight. I'd say. Not as interested in seeing the one-sided stand-up battle, but once they get clinched up and they start grappling and shit like that, they're all out, man. Yeah, it sucks, bro. It sucks. I need to get a new laptop because a lot of these times, especially with the Contender Series, I've had the stream that I stream the YouTube off of just fucking crash. It's really weird. Like, why would it just crash like that? But I think it's because I'm running the ESPN plus I'm running the YouTube stream on the same device. So it's not really. I think it just crashes one of them. Pettis or Diaz. I cannot wait until that card, but I think Diaz has got that. Although I think Pettis has the exact style that beats Diaz. Yeah, my laptop's trash too, bro. Or maybe not my laptop's trash, but my fucking internet over here is trash. But Pettis has the style to beat Diaz. I'm just not sure if, with Pettis, here's the thing about Pettis. Come up to 170, we've seen a lot of power out of Pettis. But he had decent cardio at 155 and 145. Will that cardio be gone since he put on so much weight? Since he's coming up to 170. Will he lose that cardio? Nate Diaz is the guy that's going to take him into the third round, third round, if he doesn't finish him before that. So we'll really get to see what Pettis' cardio is like at welterweight. And in my opinion, I think Diaz can win that kind of fight. Cortez 4 for 4 on takedowns here. Agapova trying hard for a single leg. Ooh, Tracy Cortez tries to roll and take her back. It's not necessarily working just yet. Yep, got both hooks in now. Oh, got one hook. Can't get the right hook over. Gets in the full mount. That's what she wanted. Yeah, I know. Those last two fights for Pettis are what kind of says, oh, shit. Yeah, I agree, though. Diaz is just going to be way too much. And he could take a fucking hell of a punch, man. Only time he's got knocked out was against Josh Thompson, head kick, and then followed it with a bunch of punches. But Nate Diaz wasn't out of that fight. He just wasn't – he was taking too much damage. The ref stopped it. So they called it a TKO. He wasn't quitting in that fight. He was going to keep going. He was going to grab on. He was going to go for a takedown. I think to beat beat Diaz, you got to throw, like, if you want to knock him out at least, you got to throw something crazy like that. You got to throw a clean leg kick or a clean head kick that lands fucking clean as hell. Wheel kick, to the head, Superman punch, spinning back fist, elbows. It can't just be the you can't just box with Nate Diaz. He's gonna fuck you up bad. And try to traditionally box with him. It's not good. Beats himself before the fight. What do you mean? You don't think Diaz is gonna make it to the fight? He's gonna pull some shit with the media or some shit. Now she's got that body triangle locked in. And it's on a good side, too. They're leaning away from the body triangle, which is only making it deeper. Kopova needs to, if she wants to get the punches himself in the face to get pumped. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's a tough motherfucker, man. He's been doing it for so long, and Nate Diaz is different on a level of like Jorge Masvidal, to where it's not necessary. He didn't get in this for a sport. He got in this because, his brother technically was a fighter also, just like Nate, but his brother got into it kind of as a sport. Nate said, I'm doing whatever my brother does, but I like to fight. You know what I'm saying? So, fuck, I'm going to get in here and fight. Don't matter about none of that shit. I've seen him fight no gloves, open hand fight with the grappling and shit like that. He's a beast. I wish he would come back too, but he's definitely not. He'd have to fight 185, and like, you got to think, like, who is there really to him for the fight at 185? He'd get fucked up by Whitaker. Adesanya would be so hard for Nick Diaz, but Nick Diaz, Israel Adesanya, I think, would probably be one of the best all-time fights for the UFC. One of the best UFC fights of all time, I think, would be Nick Diaz and Israel Adesanya. So, I mean, I'd love to see it, but yeah, I think you're right. I think he's not going to come back. It's a little late now. He might be a little too comfortable in his ways. Agapova, to get out of this body triangle, needs to stop leaning this way, needs to go the other way, lay on the foot that they have the body triangle, and then try to turn into the body triangle. She's leaning away from the body triangle and trying to turn away, which is only making the body triangle tighter. Yeah, me too, man. Those last three fights at 241, I'm fucking stoked for, man. Diaz, Pettis, Costa, Romero, and then Cormier, Stipe too. I'm fucking pumped, dude. I hope all three of those fights deliver. I hope they don't have me looking silly, fucking not doing as well as we would hope they did. I hope they really, really perform, all three of those guys. But I'm excited, especially those two fights. The Stipe Cormier fight, I'm not too excited about, especially if Stipe loses. I'm not a fan of Cormier, and I'm a huge fan of Stipe Miocic. So I would be really devastated if he came back and lost again to DC. It is what it is if it happens. I mean, they're not my family or my friends, or I don't know them personally, so I can't really feel too bad for a person because I don't know them like that. But still would suck. I would hate to see it twice. I don't think, man. I think DC has unfinished business. I think he wanted Brock. You didn't get Brock. You take Stipe. Okay. You already won that fight. So if you win again, you didn't really accomplish anything new. You just beat a guy that you've already beat. So, I mean, I think he's wanting to accomplish things in his career. I don't think he's wanting to stay known for what he's known for at the moment. But she already beat Stipe, he beats him again, whoop-de-doo, So I think he's going to want to either stay at heavyweight and fight a wrestler, Curtis Blades, fight one of the most powerful guys in the heavyweight division, Francis Ngannou, or he's going to try to go back down to light heavyweight and fight John Jones, which, holy shit, just think about that. Yeah, like I said, John for the money, Francis Ngannou just because, he hits so hard, yada, 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 and he's on a however many fight win streak, and he beat Kane, and Cormier wants to avenge Kane's last loss. There's a couple different reasons I could see him wanting to fight Ngannou. I could definitely see him wanting to fight John again. And the only person I really wanted to see Daniel Cormier fight was Curtis Blades for a long time. A long, long time. John's not coming to heavyweight. I'd like to see it too. I'd like to see John come up to heavyweight, but John knows his weight class. John is the correct size for that weight class. He's a very skinny guy, lanky guy, 6'4", 6'3", whatever. So he's a taller guy. He could make it to heavyweight more than likely. But the thing is, he's just such the perfect size for that 205 weight class. Why would you go out of it? You know what I'm saying? It's like, who would it be like? Let's see. It would be like, not Robbie, not Kobe, not. Let's think. It would be like Frankie Edgar. Not Frankie Edgar. Fuck. Who am I thinking about? I don't know. Yeah, I hear you, but I don't like that either, though. I don't necessarily like weight cutting, but I think natural weight is good for some fighters and then bad for other fighters, you know? The reason weight cutting was invented was to try to get a size advantage over your opponent. John does a very good job of that. He doesn't get heavy. John, I think, would get to maybe 215, 220 max, 225 or so, 230 maybe. If you're 225, 230 in heavyweight, fighting Daniel Cormier, who's probably going to come in at like 250, you know what I mean? Or way heavy, you're giving him way too much weight. You're giving up your size advantage now. Yes, you're longer. Yes, you're taller. But dude just got so much more weight that he could pack muscle into that he, you know what I'm saying? There's just too much as far as the size disadvantage that he would go against to go up to heavyweight. He wouldn't be big enough, kind of. He's big enough. He just wouldn't be big enough, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think of another example I could give. Oh, yeah, I mean, it'd be like one of those middleweight guys trying to go up to heavyweight, like Santiago Santos, Anthony Smith. These guys aren't going to be cut out for heavyweight. They were middleweights. They went up to light heavyweight to get in their better weight class because they're bigger guys, 6'4", 6'2", you know, bigger guys. But those guys don't get up past 215, 220. Before, like when they walk around and shit. That's not a good weight to fight a heavyweight. You know what I mean? And when you're working out, when you're training for these fights, you naturally lose weight because you're sweating so much. You naturally lose water weight. Yes, you put it back into your body, but every single training session, you lose a little bit of weight. You lose a little bit of weight. Lose a little bit of weight. It adds up, you know. So